All right, welcome back, everyone. Ready for another deep dive.
Let's do it.
Okay, so today we're looking at,
New Jersey.
yes,
Right.
New Jersey and their decision to drop the basic skills test to become a teacher. So we've got an article from the Daily Caller and a really active Reddit thread about it.
Oh, yeah. This was getting a lot of attention.
Yeah, so let's jump in. I guess first, what stands out to you as we kind of go into this?
Well, I think what's interesting is this is happening in the middle of this huge teacher shortage
Right.
that everyone's talking about. And especially,
Like nationwide.
yeah, all over the country. And, particularly for subjects like math and science.
Yeah, so I guess it seems like New Jersey's kind of grasping at straws.
Yeah, it's like everyone's trying to find a solution, and this is their attempt.
So what exactly is this new law?
Well, starting January 1st, 2025,
Hmm.
aspiring teachers in New Jersey won't need to pass these basic tests.
Like what kind of tests?
Reading, writing, and math.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So no basic skills test at all.
Well, there's a little caveat to that. It's because of this thing called Act 1669.
Okay.
And basically it says that, but it doesn't apply to everyone. Like those seeking what are called limited certificates of eligibility, they still have to take a test.
So there are still some standards. They're not just throwing everything out the window.
Exactly. It seems more targeted, maybe to get a broader pool of people.
Okay, that makes sense. But still, why get rid of it for anyone? What's the reasoning there?
Well, like we were just saying, the state's dealing with this pretty bad teacher shortage.
Right.
And there's this quote from this Democratic Senator, Jim Beach, who actually said that this law is, quote unquote, the best way
Oh, wow.
to get more teachers in classrooms.
Okay, so they're really banking on this.
Yeah. And you also can't forget about the teachers' unions.
Oh, right.
Because in New Jersey, the teachers' union is pretty powerful. It's called the New Jersey Education Association.
Okay.
And they've been really pushing for this change, saying that this test was an unnecessary barrier.
Okay. Interesting. But does that make it the right move?
That's the big question, isn't it? I mean, we have to think about the students, too.
Yeah, are we potentially sacrificing the quality of education?
Right. Are we making sure these teachers are prepared? It raises some concerns.
Especially because, New Jersey's not alone in this, right? Didn't New York do something similar?
Yeah, back in 2017, New York got rid of some of their literacy requirements, and they said it was to promote diversity.
So it's like a trend.
It seems to be. And we see it in other states, too.
Yeah.
California and Arizona have also been experimenting with changing things up.
To get more teachers.
Exactly. Like speeding up the process for substitute teachers to get full-time roles.
Oh, interesting.
Or even just getting rid of some exam requirements altogether.
So is it safe to say that, nationally we're seeing this kind of lowering of the bar to become a teacher?
Yeah, you could say that. But it's not the only approach. There are other states that are going in a different direction. Well, like Massachusetts, they're not focused on teachers. They're trying to lower testing requirements for the students themselves.
To kind of compensate for all the learning loss during the pandemic, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's like two different philosophies, right? Some places are saying, let's make it easier to become a teacher, and others are saying, let's make it easier to be a student.
Wow. So lots of different approaches and no clear, consensus.
Right. No one-size-fits-all solution, it seems.
And, we can't ignore the fact that teachers' unions have a lot of power in this.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
The article from the Daily Caller was saying, especially in these blue states, they have a ton of influence.
Yeah, and they use it to push for these kinds of changes, even when some people are worried about what it means for students in the long run.
Okay, so that's another layer to this.
Definitely.
So we've got New Jersey, we've got these national trends, we've got teachers' unions.
And, of course, we can't forget about all the people on Reddit who are weighing in on this.
Oh, yeah. What are they saying?
Well, the thread we pulled is from a subreddit that leans conservative.
Okay.
So it's a particular perspective.
But still, it's interesting to see the reactions.
For sure. And, I mean, some of the comments are really strong.
What do you mean?
Some people are comparing this to, things you'd see in authoritarian regimes.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, they see this as a serious lowering of standards.
So not everyone's on board with this.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
Some people are really worried about the long-term consequences. But then you've got others who are saying, look, we need teachers, and this is a way to get them.
So a real mix of opinions.
Yeah, a lot of passion on both sides.
Okay, so we've got this law, we've got national trends, we've got teachers' unions, and we've got a public that's pretty divided on this. This is complicated.
It really is. And this is just the beginning. There's so much more to unpack here.
Yeah, it feels like we've just scratched the surface. But before we go any further,
Yeah.
I want to hear from you, our listeners. What are you thinking so far? What stands out to you?
Yeah. What questions are you asking yourself?
Hold on to those thoughts. We'll be back in just a moment to dive even deeper.
It really makes you think, like all this talk about lowering standards and requirements,
Yeah.
it kind of feels like we're missing the bigger picture.
You're right. It's like putting a Band-Aid on a gaping wound.
Exactly. We're so focused on filling these empty teaching spots,
Hmm.
but what about the reasons they're empty in the first place?
Okay, so let's talk about that. Like, what are some of the things that are actually pushing people away from teaching?
I mean, the first thing that always comes to mind is like the pay.
Oh, yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Teachers are so underpaid for what they do.
Right. It's crazy. And it's not just the money either.
No, it's the whole environment.
Working conditions.
Yeah, I've heard stories about like overcrowded classrooms,
Yeah.
not enough resources, tons of paperwork.
It's overwhelming. And it leads to burnout. No wonder people are leaving the profession.
Right. And then there's this whole like societal perception thing.
Oh, yeah.
Like, do we even see teaching as a respectable profession?
That's a good question. I mean, compared to something like, I don't know, finance or tech, it doesn't have the same kind of shine.
Totally. We need to change that. We need to make teaching something that people aspire to, you know?
Absolutely. It's like investing in teachers, I.S. investing in the future.
Okay, so all of this brings us back to like standardized testing.
Yeah, that seems to be the hot topic everywhere.
Right. Some states are making it easier for teachers, some for students. It's almost like we're realizing that maybe these tests aren't everything.
Yeah, like maybe a single test score doesn't really show you everything about a person.
Right. Or their potential.
Exactly. But then the question becomes, like, what do we use instead?
Yeah, if we're moving away from standardized tests, how do we know if things are working? How do we measure success?
That's the tricky part. We need to find other ways to assess things, ways that are more comprehensive.
More meaningful, yeah. But it has to be fair, too.
Absolutely equitable for everyone.
So it sounds like this is a huge shift in how we think about education in general.
Yeah, it's a total paradigm shift.
And I think that's an important point for our listeners to consider, right? Like, this isn't just about New Jersey.
Right, it's about all of us.
This teacher shortage, it's a symptom of a much bigger issue.
It goes way deeper than just filling some job openings.
It makes you think about how we as a society value education.
Do we really appreciate the people who are shaping our future? Do we invest in them properly?
And what about standardized testing? Like, have you ever felt like a test score didn't really reflect who you are or what you're capable of?
It's something to think about, for sure. And as we wrap up this part of the deep dive,
Yeah.
I'm curious to hear what's resonating with you, the listener.
What surprised you?
What questions are you still thinking about?
Hold on to those, because we're going to come back and wrap this all up with a really interesting question for you to ponder. All right, welcome back to the show. We've been spending some time digging into this decision by New Jersey to get rid of the basic skills test for teachers, and
Yeah, it's been a lot to think about.
it really has. And like, we've covered a ton, right? We talked about teacher shortages, unions, standardized tests, how people view teaching as a whole, and,
It's all connected.
exactly. It's like so complex. And it's not just about New Jersey either.
Right. It's way bigger than that.
Yeah.
It really feels like we're seeing this play out all over the place.
Yeah, it's like a national conversation. So as we wrap this up, I think there's one question that's been on my mind, and it kind of flips the script a little bit.
Oh, okay. I like where this is going.
So we've been talking about like lowering the bar to become a teacher, right? But what if we, instead of lowering the bar, we focused on making teaching itself more valuable?
Ooh, that's a great point.
Yeah.
Yeah, like what if we raise the whole profession up?
Right. So what would that even look like? Is it just about paying teachers more?
I mean, money definitely helps.
Of course.
But it's got to be more than that, right? Like we need to think about the working conditions, the opportunities to grow, just a general feeling of respect for the profession.
So it's about making teaching a job that people really want, that they actually like seek out.
Exactly. Think about it. What if we had all these brilliant minds choosing to become teachers because it's seen as like this super fulfilling and important job?
Yeah, a job that actually makes a real difference in the world.
That's the kind of future I want to
Me
see.
too. And it
Yeah.
really makes you think, like, what can we each do to make that happen?
Right. What role do we all play in making teaching a more valued profession? Because that's what's going to benefit everyone.
It's about investing in the future, literally. And I think that's a perfect place to leave our listeners today.
Yeah, it's definitely something to ponder.
As you continue to, like, Learn about this issue, keep an open mind, listen to all sides of the story, and keep having those important conversations.
Because education, it's something that affects all of us.
It really does. So, thank you for joining us on this deep dive. I hope you found it insightful and maybe even a little bit challenging. And remember, this conversation doesn't end here. Keep exploring, keep asking those tough questions.
And until next time.
See you all later.